Hey everybody, welcome to a special bonus episode of Culinary Characters Unlocked. I'm David Page. The 2026 James Beard Awards were just announced, and it turns out 3 of the winners had previously joined me right here on this podcast. Chef Nook Suntaranon, whose Philadelphia Thai restaurant Kalaya won Outstanding Restaurant in the Country. Dave Beran, who won Best Chef California, and Sarah Thompson, who won Best Chef Southwest. It was great talking with them, and given the James Beard news, it seems like a great time to revisit those conversations. Beginning with Sarah Thompson, who's doing inventive coastal Mexican cuisine at Casa Playa in Las Vegas. Was fine dining or even beyond that adventurous eating part of your family life growing up?
Not so much. Food was always really important to us. We always ate together, ate a meal together. My parents always planned and cooked a lot of food for us, but it wasn't fine dining at all. Fine dining is something that, as I learned more about cooking and decided that that was a career path that I wanted to go on, it was something that I definitely sought out and was curious about. I mean, it's so different from what you eat day to day, and it's just like a completely different world. My mom had every single Bonat magazine from 1989 until 2022. So we were always making new things and she was always trying new ingredients. We ate a lot of crock pot type cooking type things. We ate a lot of pasta, but we were always trying new things. It wasn't necessarily overly adventurous, but we definitely were exposed to probably more than other people in our town.
Were you one of those kids who hung out in the kitchen with mom?
Always. I was.
Or dad?
Yeah. But growing up, it was mom. Now it's a little bit more dad, which is funny how the tables have turned. But I was always interested in cooking. I loved making cookies. I loved doing the pasta parties for all of my sports friends. I loved planning what to make every day. I was always really excited about dinner every day. I would help make the grocery list with my mom and plan every meal that we were going to have that week. I loved it. I always loved being a part of it. And it's so funny that even from a young age, I was doing that. And now I do it professionally.
When did you realize I want to cook?
When I was a sophomore in high school is when I decided that this is the career path that I wanted. It's just something that I really enjoyed. I loved people's face when you make them something that's absolutely delicious or something that they love and they crave. I loved their reaction, like the brightness in their eyes. I worked for a local caterer on and off while I could, like on weekends in between sports.
As a server in the kitchen, what were you doing for the caterer?
In the kitchen.
Making 300 identical plates of second-rate chicken?
Yeah. Made a lot of cheese boards. A lot of crudité. I had never even held a knife or been in a professional kitchen before, so you got to start somewhere.
You went to CIA, to the Culinary Institute of America. So what'd you do after school?
I moved right to New York City. It was the only place I wanted to be.
That takes, and I don't mean this in a bad way, it takes some arrogance, doesn't it? That's the food capital of America.
The peer group that I was in had very similar ambitions and goals. So there was a group of us that all moved to New York and we all sought out fine dining restaurants. And that's where a lot of our careers started. And it's really cool to see how a lot of them have really grown and now have their own success in their own restaurants. So I moved to New York and I started working at Maria right away as a line cook.
Okay, how do you get high? Maria, Michelin star, I think, right?
When I started, they had 1 star, and while I was there, they received their 2nd star.
How do you go straight from culinary school to actual cooking at a Michelin-starred restaurant?
I just applied. I got in touch with the chef, and I had a stage, and they hired me. I got really lucky.
So what'd you learn there?
I learned everything. I learned things that I still apply to the job that I have now.
You move on. Where do you go next?
I moved to Wiley Dufresne's Alder.
Wiley Dufresne, an incredible, innovative chef, well-known for, I guess, molecular.
Yes.
You went to Alder. Okay.
My executive sous chef, who was one of my mentors, who taught me so much. He taught me how to be a line cook. He taught me all of the things about breaking down fish. He taught me a lot about work ethic and professionalism in the kitchen. He worked for Wiley and he knew that I was looking for something different. So he introduced me. Wiley was opening this restaurant. So I was part of their opening team. And after being there for a year, I was able to get my first sous chef position. And working for Wiley is incredible. And I've said this before, but he is so creative and he pushes all of his cooks and chefs to think about food in a completely different way. It's not just a radish. It's how many things can we do with this radish? You can't just cut it. You can do X, Y, and Z with it. We would have projects based on just an ingredient to figure out how many ways we we could alter this ingredient to make it taste better, to make it taste more unique. It was incredible to be a part of that.
Was Alder molecular?
It was not. There were molecular components to it, but it wasn't as molecular as WD-50.
And I'm not a fan of molecular, and I loved WD-50, which was, of course, Wiley Dufresne's first place.
It was a really cool restaurant.
I'm sorry, continue.
Alder was a bit more casual, and the food was very thoughtful and very creative, but it was much more approachable and a much more approachable price point than the WD-50 Michelin star type restaurants.
You worked at least one other gig in New York, but I'm kind of jumping ahead here because I want to get you to Cosme. How did you get to Cosme, which is, to this day, I guess, still regarded as probably by many people the finest Mexican fine dining place in America?
Yes, I would agree with you. I'm a little biased, but I would agree.
Well, how'd you get there? First of all, did you know Mexican food? Did you eat it as a kid? I
knew nothing. I went into that restaurant knowing absolutely nothing. And I got that job by chance. Alder was closing, and the woman who was the pastry sous chef at Cosme came in to eat at the restaurant, and I went to culinary school with her, and she was like, hey, we're looking for another sous chef. We're opening for more days. Do you want to come in? And I said yes, because I didn't have anything lined up.
But you went over as a sous chef?
I started as a line cook, and then within 2 months, I was a sous chef.
Wow. You go to this incredible Mexican restaurant. Pardon me, you don't know crap about Mexican food, and you're going to be running a bunch of stuff. What was your learning curve?
I went into work every day, and I learned so much. I couldn't tell you what a guajillo chili was. I didn't know anything about heirloom masa. I didn't know anything, but you learn quickly, and everyone around me was really eager to teach and learn, and Daniela is such a good teacher.
Daniela Soto Inez? How do I pronounce it?
Soto Inez.
Okay, and she and Enrique Olvera are the owners.
Yes.
She, I take it, was pretty much your mentor there.
That is correct, yes. And we just ripped the Band-Aid off. I learned so much so quickly. And the entire time I was there, I would go into work every day and learn something new, which was really cool. The way that they approach Mexican food was super unique. It made all of New York City think about Mexican food in a different way.
And what is that different way other than saying it's not burritos and enchiladas?
The food was light and refreshing and vibrant. Mexican food is incredibly diverse, and there are a lot of Asian influences in the food. Enrique is really inspired by Japanese cuisine. You'll see that a lot in his food. So all of the ingredients and the core of all of what they're doing is Mexican, but they draw really specific influence from other cuisines and other cultures to really elevate it and make it more refined, make it more unique. The flavors are vibrant and light and refreshing and keeps you coming back for more. And the masa program was also something that really had a huge influence on the city, because now you see heirloom masa everywhere, where Cosme was one of the first restaurants, if not the first restaurant in New York, to have their own heirloom masa program.
And for anyone who doesn't know, that's the ingredient produced from corn that is the foundation of tortillas and tamales, correct?
That's correct.
And that's where you learned how to do masa, I guess?
Yeah, that's correct.
Because when we get there in a few minutes, you're well known for your masa program in Vegas now.
Yes.
How did you get, I guess it was through your connections at Cosme that you came to Vegas? Tell me that story.
Daniela and Enrique were opening a restaurant at the Wynn. It was called Ilio.
In Vegas?
Yes. And they asked me to move to Vegas and be the chef de cuisine. I wanted to continue to work in the company, and that was an opportunity to really grow and thrive. So I said yes.
And this was exciting as hell. I mean, you were starting from the ground up.
Yes.
This sounds like a wonderful story. You go there full of excitement. It became kind of tragic, didn't it?
Yeah, we were all geared up already. The room was beautiful. We had a full team. We had very highly anticipated opening, and then the world shut down. We were literally slated to open on March 20th, 2020. And the day before is when all of the travel stopped, everything closed.
The pandemic.
The pandemic happened, yeah.
And we'll be right back.
Eventually, the Wynn decided that it wasn't going to work out as a concept. So they closed the concept and asked me to stay on and reopen another Mexican restaurant. It was a little bit of a different concept. Casa Playa is coastal Mexican, which was perfect for me because I have a lot of experience in seafood with Maria. And that's what I like to eat too. Like, I like eating light and refreshing. I like the ceviche, the mariscos. That's my favorite part of the menu to play around with.
Is this specific to one region, or is it, if it came out of the water anywhere in Mexico, we're good with it?
There's a lot of influence from the Baja coast, but there's also some influence from Oaxaca. We get a lot of our corn for our masa program from Oaxaca, but the seafood and the flavors of a lot of the dishes are rooted in like the Baja, the Ensenada, that region of Mexico. We get fresh Mexican blue shrimp, which is beautiful. We get tuna, we get campeche, we get lobster, a lot of sushi.
Wait. Lobster, it's not the same as lobster you grew up with in New England, is it?
No, it's a little bit different. The shell's a little bit harder, the tail's a little bit bigger, the claws are a little bit smaller.
The taste profile the same, or?
For what we do with it, it's very similar.
What do you do with it?
We have it on our surf and turf.
What's the other half of your surf and turf?
I think of this dish as the greatest hits of Casa Playa. It's not the regular surf and turf that's just steak and lobster. We have Wagyu carne asada. We have our pork belly El Pastor. We have our Mexican blue shrimp. We have our lobster that's brushed in our lobster oil with molita chilies. We blanch it lightly to get out of the shell, and then we grill it. Absolutely delicious. Onions, chili torreado, fresh tortillas, a bunch of different salsas, and it's great for the table. We get a lot of football players in. A football player can crush that no problem.
Is it a family style dish?
It is a large format dish. One of the things that we do at the restaurant is we encourage everyone to share. A lot of people get individual plates, but the food is meant to be eaten together. And a lot of the things build on each other. And you want to be able to experience as many things as you can, because you start off with your ceviches and your tongue is just excited with the brightness, the acid, the spice. And then as you dive into the hot apps and the entrees, it's a journey of different flavors, of different chilies, of different techniques, and you just build on it. So we encourage people to get a good amount of food and get a variety of food and share it. But we also, because of this, have a pretty decent large format entree section. We have between 5 and 6 large format entrees at any given time. One of the dishes that's been on the menu since we opened is our crispy skin carnitas. We get in baby pigs. They're 20-pound pigs, and we'll cut them into quarters just so they can fit in the oven. Honestly, brine them, and then we cook them for 8 hours to get the meat super, super juicy, but to also dry out the skin. And then to order, we rub it in all this lard, put it in the 500-degree oven, and they puff up like chicharron on the skin does. And that's an absolutely delicious dish, great for the table. We have our pork belly El Pastor, which we had a custom-made trompo.
A trompo being?
The trompo is what you cook the El Pastor on, like the spit. And it goes around, you cut the meat off. Typically it's made with like sliced pork butt that's marinated in your El Pastor adobo. You layer it on. And then as you cut it, it's, like shawarma. That's the influence of Pastor, the El Pastor dish.
Yeah, people are unfamiliar necessarily. This is basically a dish influenced by folks who came to Mexico from the Middle East, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Personally, I think there's a lack of understanding among many Americans at how sophisticated Mexican cuisine can be. It's one of the world's great cuisines, is it not?
I would totally agree with that. I think that people are quite close-minded when it comes to Mexican cuisine. It is so diverse and so unique. And I feel like I could travel throughout Mexico for a year and still experience things that I've never experienced here in the States.
Cooking in Las Vegas is, I was going to say, weird. I mean, you're in a casino.
Yeah.
How much of your crowd really respects the food, and how much of your crowd is between rounds of a game?
It depends. Because Las Vegas, our clientele is everyone, right? So we have to make food for everyone. There are times where everyone that's in Casa Playa is excited about food, is ready for it, is there for this really unique culinary experience. And then there are times where there's a convention in town and they're just there because this is the restaurant that their friend made a reservation at. But no matter who you are, or where you come from, or what experience you're looking for, we can offer that to you. So if you really want to have a really elevated fine dining experience, that is something that you can have at this restaurant. But if you want to come in, you're playing poker, you need to be out in 20 minutes, and you want to shove a queso fundido and a steak on your mouth in 20 minutes and then go back to your game, we can also do that.
You were a James Beard Best Chef Southwest nominee this year. I read that you'd like Michelin to come back to Vegas. They were there and left?
Yeah, they were here. They left in 2009. I think it had to do with the crash that happened in 2008. A lot of the businesses changed.
Do awards matter?
They matter, but they're not the only thing that matters. It's great for restaurants to get recognized. I think that James Beard does an amazing job recognizing small businesses, and that can make or break small businesses too. Like being James Beard recognized as a small business is huge because, it brings so much business and so much to the community. I think it's really, really great, but I don't think it's the only thing.
What's ahead for you?
Well, I continue to want Casa Playa to grow. We just turned 4. We've evolved into a dining destination in a way that other restaurants have not. And we've really created a unique experience from anything else on the strip, which I'm really proud of. So I continue to want to push and grow. Like, I would love to see Casa Playa pop up in different ways, whether it's a taco stand somewhere or just growing in different markets. That would be really cool. But I really want to focus on the restaurant that I have right now. I want it to continue to be the best it can be, continue to be a part of the community and support my team, especially in a really difficult time for restaurants. I want my peers and everyone around me to feel supported in every way they can.
Best Chef Southwest, Sarah Thompson. Now to Dave Beran, who's worked at, among other places, the legendary Alinea in Chicago before opening restaurants of his own in LA, and who won 2026 Best Chef California for what he's doing at one of them, Seline.
You trained Jeremy Allen White to play Carmy in The Bear?
I mean, I didn't help him build his character or anything. He spent about a month with us in the kitchen before they filmed the pilot. We started him kind of building his knife skills. Then from there, by the end of it, we had him working the line during service with us.
Oh, come on, for real?
Yeah. We made him cook fish. That was great. He was solid. The thing is, with any task that you do, whatever you put into it, you're going to get out of it. And he fully committed. My goal was, I don't want him to look stupid on camera, but that was all him figuring out the repetition and the skill set. For me, the majority of the conversation was more about mannerisms and mentality. His original character line, which obviously changes throughout the evolution of the show, had his timing essentially being one of my cooks at Alinea. And so with that, I think there was a lot to offer as far as this is the general feeling around what Chicago was like at that time. Because, it's not just I'm playing a chef. It's playing a chef from a time period that a lot of chefs who watched the show would have existed in. So that was pretty important.
What was the key to that time period as a chef?
Oh, Chicago in that window of time was crazy. I learned how to cook in Chicago from 2003 to, I moved away in 2016. And for me, it was that was the point in time where it wasn't just Trotter anymore.
Charlie Trotter, yeah.
Yeah. It was all these young chefs just leaving their kitchens and doing incredible things. And the magic of a great dining scene is you also have great diners. Because you can have the best restaurant in the world, but if you don't have great diners to go to, it's going to fold up. At that point in time, diners were willing to support anything. They wanted greatness. And when you have a city and diners like that, you really have an opportunity to grow and evolve. I don't know that a lot of people who weren't cooking in Chicago during that time really understand how magical it was. I graduated and I did what every college student does when they don't know what they're going to do. I moved downtown Chicago and I lived in an apartment above a bar. I kept applying at different restaurants and not getting any jobs.
So who hired you?
MK. I happened to walk into MK with a resume, and the chef, Stephen Dunn, he was a chef at Cuisine at the time, sat down with me and he's like, you don't have any experience, but we just had a guy quit. And he's like, I didn't go to culinary school either. So we'll give you 2 weeks and we'll see how you do. So I was at MK for a year and a half.
From there, you went to True?
Yeah. Every aspect of my life has always been, if there's a better version, that's the version I want. When I applied to True and Trotter. True was Rick Tramato. And at the time, the Tribune had done this 10-point comparison of True versus Trotter for best in the city. And that year, True won. And it was mind-blowing. Everything I'd learned at MK about speed and efficiency, it became, now this is refinement. This is how you actually cook a piece of meat. I learned Ducasse-style sauce work. The butcher had worked at French Laundry, so I learned proper fine dining butchery. So it was incredible. I was there for a year, and Chef de Cuisine, Joel, sat me down and was like, look, I'm going to be leaving soon. And we talked a lot about his time with Ducasse and what I should do next. And I really wanted that refinement. By the end of my time there, I was saying, okay, if you were at Ducasse, how would you do this? And if you were at Ducasse, how'd you do this? I don't remember a lot of the dishes we served there. I just remember the techniques that I learned. Anyway, so he suggested that I go to either Robuchon or French Laundry. That was when Robuchon had 3 stars in Vegas. And so I applied to both and I had stages set up. And then one late night, I was out with the staff and this woman I worked with, Kim, one of the best cooks I've ever worked with, her boyfriend was a cook at Alinea, which is less than a year old at that point, but where I'd always wanted to work. I tried working for Achatz at Trio. I was just in awe of what he was doing.
Yeah, the chef Grant Achatz, who Alinea was just amazing molecular.
I mean, when Alinea opened, there was nothing like it, at least not in the US. Even at Trio, what he was doing, I was just so in awe of it. I had no way to get in. And she looks at me that night and it's 1:30 in the morning. We're at the bar after work. And she goes, if you're ever going to apply to Alinea, apply tonight. Dan, her boyfriend, is putting in his notice and we're leaving to go to El Bulli.
Farron Adria's restaurant in Spain, which at one time was named #1 in the world.
And then I went home and wrote a resume and cover letter, and probably, 3:30, 4 in the morning, I emailed it.
After a night of drinking, those are always the best letters.
I don't really remember much of that. I know I did it, and I know I got a call at 10 a.m. the next morning offering a tryout.
The next morning.
Yeah, it sounded like a small child on the phone. It was Achatz. He was, I think 32 at the time. He just always sounded young. So, I took a tryout there, was offered a job after a one-day stage, and canceled French Laundry and Robuchon and worked at Alinea.
You became chef de cuisine there eventually.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
One of the finest meals I've ever had was at Alinea. What did that do for you as a chef? Obviously, you were good enough to go there, but what'd you learn?
It changed my perspective on everything. It was like every rule that you knew was thrown away as far as like the French progression. I mean, we had a dessert mid-menu, and that to me at the time was crazy, but it was so logical when I ate there. I think what it brought to the table was this notion that as long as you can justify it, anything can be anything. The only real rule was everything had to taste good. Everything had to be delicious. I remember when Chef was making like this cauliflower custard, he wanted these little cubes of cauliflower custard and each one coated in a different flavor. And then the 5 of them would go on the plate. We'd pour a sauce tableside. It started with making French Laundry's cauliflower velouté, and then we made it into the custard. And I remember one of our cooks staging somewhere else that also had a cauliflower custard. And like, oh yeah, they just blanch it and puree it and then add some powders to it. And that really became that analogy for what Alinea was. Until it's perfect and grounded in foundation, you can't make it something else. So everything was just so like, did you taste this? Is it perfect? Is it right? Why are we doing this? What is the purpose of this? Nothing could ever be because it was cool. Things change and evolve, but that window of time for me, that first couple of years, I mean, I look back at the line and it was John Shields and Greg Backstrom and Ryan Bartlow was on that line, Jordan Kahn and Alex Stupak. You just start naming like Chef F. Curtis Duffy was there. That kitchen was full of chefs who at any point right now, you could position them into being one of the best chefs in the country.
Okay, working for him after Alinea, you opened Next.
Yeah.
Also one of his restaurants as executive chef. You got a James Beard Award?
Yeah, I got a couple of them. And so the idea was the restaurant was always changing, different concepts. Paris 1906, tour of Thailand. We did an El Bulli retrospective. We did a series that was based off of the idea of the hunt. We did a vegan menu. We did kaiseki. We did a kaiseki tasting menu, and it was wild.
But it wasn't yours. You decided you wanted a place here. And didn't you try to partner up with Chef Achatz?
Achatz and I talked about it a lot. And at the end of the day, he said this thing to me. He was like, when I was leaving French Laundry, Thomas said that if I ever wanted my own name on the door, he couldn't partner with me because it would always be a Thomas Keller restaurant. And he said, the truth is, if I partner with Achatz, it will always be a Grand Achatz restaurant with Dave Beran running it. And he never said he didn't want to partner with me or that he wouldn't. He just kind of posed that idea to me. So ultimately we parted ways and I moved to LA.
Where you opened Dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
Which was kind of groundbreaking.
That was a cool, weird little restaurant. Yeah.
It was in a food court?
Yeah. A friend of my business partners was developing a food court on the promenade in Santa Monica and was like, hey, we have this idea for the upstairs to be all well-known chefs doing kind of cool, casual concepts. They had the Voltaggio brothers doing a fried fish place. They were talking to, who else? Ray Garcia, who had broken Spanish, about doing a BS taqueria. They had Dave Chang's, was it Fuku, I think, was his like casual concept. They had that in there. But we were the first ones they talked to. And I looked at it, I was like, I cannot have my first LA restaurant be a sandwich shop. And so I said no like 3 times. And finally I went to the space and I looked at it and I was like, if we sealed this off and made like a secret room, it'd kind of be like when you're in Japan and you go like the 6th floor of a business office and suite 231 is actually a bar. I was like, what if we did that like an izakaya style restaurant, but it wasn't Japanese?
What was the food?
Me figuring out what the hell I wanted to cook.
It was a tasting menu, right?
Yeah. It was always like 18 to 22 courses. It changed 4 times a year. The goal with it was understanding my voice and no longer having the parameters of Next or Alinea. There were only 4 of us in the kitchen. We opened 5 days. We did about 30 covers a night. It was awesome.
You got a Michelin star, right?
We did. Yeah. Weirdly, we got Forbes 5-star and a Michelin star with no bathrooms, no host stand. It was crazy. And so, that restaurant ran its course pretty quickly. And so when pandemic hit, and they started allowing reopening again, we looked at it and we realized that we could only have 1 table at a time in there. And it was a failing business model at that point. They gave us an opportunity to just get out of our lease clean. And so we did. We had Pas Jolie at that point.
You had it or you were going to open it?
Pas Jolie opened the September before pandemic.
Which also got you a Michelin star.
When we opened it, it was the bistro that I wanted it to be from the chef perspective.
Serving what?
Duck press was our big thing. The press duck, roll the cart up to the table. But I saw it as like very classic high-end bistro food, like Benoit, Ayard, high-end Parisian bistros. And it was very good up until pandemic. And then as we reopened from pandemic, labor models change and, a lot of things changed. And we reconcepted and made it just a casual neighborhood bistro. Not intimidating. It became a place where people were going for like birthdays and anniversaries. And I always wanted to be the place that like, if you and I are walking down the street, we wouldn't be afraid to drop in for a cocktail. It took me a long time. In fact, it frankly took opening Seline to be able to walk in and look at Pas Jolie and be like, this isn't what it's supposed to be.
Now that you've made it more casual, does it feel better?
Yeah, it feels great.
So of course, you've gone and opened a new upscale tasting menu restaurant called Seline.
Yeah.
The Infatuation just named it one of the top 3 best restaurants in LA.
Which is good because they ate there like the third night we were open. And then the day that we launched our autumn menu, I never have good timing. No, it's great. We opened that restaurant and a month later, the fires happened in LA and we've been pretty under the radar there, which is unfortunate. But restaurants open one of 2 ways, right? They either open as like this complete closed vision of this is perfect and it's what it will be and the food might change, but the concept is. And then the flip side is restaurants will open as these living, breathing things, right? And they go from being a newborn to an infant to a toddler. And Seline is very much that. It's a restaurant that when it opened, I knew what I didn't want it to be, but I wanted to kind of see what it was going to become. And it's taken a while to understand it, but I think now it's certainly the best it's been. And there's a very clear path and understanding to what it will be.
One article says, after years inside some of the world's most precise kitchens, the former Alinea chef is letting go of perfection and finding something deeper in the process. At Alinea, the goal was to wow. At Seline, the goal is to connect. Accurate or just flowery?
Pretty accurate. I mean, here's the thing. Perfection is always the thing, right? But the part of that quote that is picked up later in the article is, I wanted to understand perfection from a different view. I didn't want perfection to be my square is a perfect square. I think that quote was referring to the salad that we had on the menu. And the idea is that we are merely taking the things around us and finding that perfect moment with them. And for so long, I was taking whatever product and making it into my perfect thing. And now we have, in Southern California, like it just rained all week, sorrel's growing everywhere. And there's going to be a moment where the right patch of sorrel at the right size is going to be phenomenal. And so what I wanted to do is at least have 1 or 2 courses that we are merely finding moments of perfection and handing them off. We are not the ones fighting to make it perfect, not us manipulating it. We're not ring punching everything into a perfect size. Unrelated to nature, we have an apple cider donut because it's an autumn menu. And I think when you talk about things like a donut, for example, at a restaurant, when you go to a fine dining restaurant and you hear that they're serving a donut, you imagine the most perfect, picturesque thing. Like French Laundry's coffee and donuts, for example. Those donuts are aesthetically perfect. But for me, talking to my chef Cuisine, the perfect donut for an apple cider donut is the one where it's like the leaves are falling and it's crisp outside and things are crunching and you walk into, the barn after picking apples and there's someone with their turkey fryer, but instead they're frying donuts going like this and dropping them in the oil and they break and kind of explode a little bit. And that makes the edges really crispy because of the way they naturally burst. And so perfection in that moment for me was about the nostalgic moment, not the aesthetic moment.
I don't know a polite way to ask this. You're getting all these rave reviews. Are you making any money?
No, of course not. The challenge has been all the hurdles in LA. Every time you take 2 steps forward, you end up taking a step back, whether it's been the fires, the protests, the strikes. LA has been a roller coaster of love and hate. It gives you a big hug and then it pushes you away and then it gives you a big hug again.
Well, can you keep a restaurant like this open?
We'll see. I hope so. We're going to keep pushing, and I'm really fortunate that we have great investors and great partners in it, and especially with Seline, the landlord's incredible. Considering we've had almost no press at Seline and our covers are increasing weekly, I'm very optimistic about the restaurant and the future of it and the evolution of it. It's not often that you look at something you're doing and you say every day it's better than it was the previous day. With Seline, everything we've done to this point is better than everything we'd done previously.
Best Chef California, Dave Beran, now the chef and owner of Kalaya, a Thai restaurant in Philadelphia that won the 2026 James Beard Award as Outstanding Restaurant in America. Here's the woman who created it, Nook Suntaranon.
I grew up in Thailand. The province is strong. The village is Yantakao. It's a very small village.
What do you remember about your childhood?
A lot of fun, a lot of good food, a lot of good memories, a lot of work because we have to help our mother, me and my brothers. She have the curry paste stall in the market. I went to the market before my mother wake up to prepare the shop ready for her.
How old were you?
Very young. At the age of 4, we already in the market with her.
Economically, times were tough for your family, were they not?
It wasn't easy. No, we were poor, but we eat like billionaire. We had the best fish. We had the best seafood because we don't jeopardize on the quality of living. Food is life. So for me, we were financially on a very low end, super poor, but we eat like a millionaire. Nobody eat better than us in the village.
Who'd you learn to cook from? Your mom, your grandmother?
I learned to cook by watching my mother, watching my grandmother cook. When I met my husband, I moved here to America. After he showed me all his boxes in the pantry and called it food. Like, I don't think that look anything like what I ever ate. So I start cooking.
You had limited restaurant experience by the time you got here. You'd run a street stall. You were a partner in an Italian restaurant in Bangkok?
Yes, with my ex-husband.
So you're in the States.
Mm-hmm.
One day you just look at your husband and say, I think I want to open a restaurant?
Yes.
Really?
I moved to America, and then, before I moved, I was thinking, what would I do? Because I've been busy all my life. What would I do if I got to stay home? And I just want to go to culinary school because I watched a movie and I feel like instead of pretty woman like Julia Roberts, I want to be Julia Child. So I love every day at school. I did. I graduated with Dean List. I was a very good student. I make a lot of friends and I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot.
You got an internship at Jean Georges?
Yes, I work in Nook and I end up cooking for Chef Jean Georges and everybody in the kitchen at Nook. I've been cooking a lot for the chef and I get to show them how to make curry paste and all of that. The chef team at Jean Georges been very kind to me. If you ask me about person that really inspired me, he is one of them.
So you move on to open your own restaurant.
No, I moved back to Philly. I did nothing for 9 years.
Excuse me?
Excuse you? Yes, I was a housewife. I love being a housewife. It's the best job. You should try. Yes?
Okay.
I always make fun like, I'm a write-off because it's cheaper that I stay home than I go out and get paid $12 an hour to work because nobody gonna hire me. So I was a write-off for 9 years and I enjoy every minute of it. I cook a lot at home. I walk my dog. I garden. I know everybody in the neighborhood. I took care of everybody. My neighbors became friends. I had a lot of fun in 9 years.
So why'd you look up after 9 years and say, I think I'll use my culinary school training now?
I did not. It came unplanned. I've been cooking a lot at home, traveling, but I know I cannot do this forever. I can't see that myself that I can, I'm going to go to lunch, Pilates, yoga for another 10 years. People start asking me for my food. They want me to cater. So I opened a small catering business and it's a very successful business model by using my husband's credit card to go buy ingredients. People pay me in cash and all go into my account. It's great.
If the IRS is listening, I assume there's a statute of limitations and or she's not under oath.
Yeah, I'm not under oath. But anyway, I feel like it's too risky. So one day I got the news about this space. I went to take a look. I just like screaming like, I love you, I love you, I love you. And I open a restaurant. I know that I'm going to make the food how I've been cooking at home and feeding everybody in the neighborhood. And I would not change anything about my food.
But can you ramp that up? They talk about scaling up. I mean, when you're cooking at home, it's for a handful of people. How do you turn that into, and I don't mean this in a bad way, an industrial recipe, something that you can repeat over and over?
Because before I opened the restaurant, I spent 2 years at the catering kitchen and I did a lot of catering gig to learn. And I think it's just like part of me, having grew up in the market, seeing my mother work. It's just like, we can make anything happen if we put our heart into it.
You kind of exploded on the Philadelphia food scene.
Looking back, now we are sitting and having this conversation. I think what I did for the past 6 years is very significant for someone who started the career at, the age of 50.
So let's talk about the food culture that you're putting on the plate there. You say Thai food to most Americans and they're going to say pad Thai.
Yes.
What is Thai food really?
Pad Thai is Thai food as well. Thai food is, it's like, what is America?
In my view, in the book I wrote, American food is our version of other countries' and cultures' cuisines kind of evolved here.
So Thai food is the same, especially my food, because my food is very personal. I grew up in Trang, southern part of Thailand, and that's the big melting pot of the Chinese immigrant, Malaysian, Pakistani, Indian, Indonesian, and Thai.
So there's an international influence already on the cuisine.
Yes.
And I assume that food in that part of Thailand is different than food in other parts of Thailand.
Yes. Even I come from Trang, the small village, the way my mother make chicken curry and the way our next door neighbor make chicken curries are very different. So then I would say that, my food is my food. It's very personal. It's my memories. It's however I want my food to be like with the flavors that I had in my mind, with the flavors that I remember that I ate when I was young. Thai food is about layers of flavors. It's about flavors combination. We never eat just, we never have a bowl of curry and just pour the curry on top of the rice and just spoon it and stuff our face with that because that's not sophisticated enough. And we don't do that. It's all about grace and gracious.
So what do you do? I mean, you give me a bowl of rice and curry, I'm going to shove it in my face.
I know, we don't do that. It's all about flavors that we have curries, we have something salty, we have something sweet. So it's always curry, stir fry, some vegetables, some relish, some soup. You have at least 5 or 6 dishes in front of you. That's what we eat at home. In the other hand, pad Thai. This is why people like pad Thai. Because pad Thai and fried rice, they are the other concept of Thai food. It's fast, it's casual, it's called jaan deo or single dish. But it's not what we eat at home. We don't do that.
Can you explain some of the dishes on your menu representative of what you ate growing up?
Goat curry.
Goat curry.
Goat curry is a celebratory food. Or the chicken curry that we serve it with the turmeric rice. I had that when I was young. We got invited to the housewarming party. And I remember I had that. So when I went to culinary school, the first time I learned how to cook the rice, I came home and I make the curry paste from my memories. And then I make sticky rice and it took me right back home.
You get homesick?
No. I just miss the food. Homesick is for wussy. You don't get homesick, you deal with it, you suck it up.
How do you fight the Chinese restaurants have the same problem, those that are trying to upscale Chinese cooking? The assumption is, let's go get some Thai. It's going to be cheap. Your place ain't cheap.
That's the way it should be. You want to buy the original painting or you want to buy the print? Nobody hold you at gunpoint. When you buy the painting, it's your choice. You want a copy or you want original? You want a print? And what we have here at Kalaya is the original. It's the craft. And beyond the craft is people, my staff, my team. In order for me, if I want to make Thai food that I can charge them $20 for the entree, how much can I pay my team with the ingredients I use, with the love and labor that I put in? It's impossible. It's impossible. And that's the ugly part of America. It's so capitalism and the perception toward ethnic food is sad. I'm fighting that every day. Why can't we be charged for our food at the same level of white people food? And plus I wear designer clothes every day. To go to the restaurant, you get the food and fashion show.
What do you think of American cuisine? What do you think of the way we're eating? Do you think it's getting any better?
Can I take a fifth?
Sure.
I'm taking fifth.
You're taking the fifth.
One thing about American I don't understand. I went to one table one night. There are 3 people. 2 of them ordered 2 grilled chicken. It's like each one of them half a chicken. So for 2 people, between 2, they have 1 whole chicken. The other one ordered the grilled beef. And I look at them like, are you guys not sharing? And they said, no, we are not good at sharing. So the other question was, I look at them like, what did you do, at your Christmas table and Thanksgiving? Are you guys sharing? They said, yes, we are.
There you go.
There we go.
American versions of other countries' cuisines are Americanized. And that's not a bad thing if you want Chinese American or Italian American or I guess Thai American. You are cooking, I hate the word, but I'll use it, authentically. You're cooking the food as it would be eaten in Thailand. Does the Americanization of other cuisines bother you?
No, it doesn't as long as it's good. If it's good, it has to be good.
Chef Nook Suntaranon on this special bonus episode of Culinary Characters Unlocked. I'm David Page, and I'll see you next time.